That's an awesome idea.
Thank you. Oh, Lord. I forget.
This is what, day nine of 10. Woo, pretty exciting. Oh, well, it's good to be here. So, this goes with our conversation the other day where we're talking about going from a business to a company. And so with the terminology that we're using today is solopreneur to entrepreneur. So we're going to start by, I want to talk a little, Barbara, if that's okay, about mindset, because we talked about inner game. And I really believe that in order to shift from literally a business to a company or a solopreneur to entrepreneur, it starts here in the inner game with your thought patterns, with your beliefs. And I was looking right before this at like, what are the thought patterns? And we haven't chatted about this. I came up with 5, so I'll share and then, jump in like you always do.
Go for it. You always keep me on my toes.
The biggest thing that I think is important to say is, in my experience, there's some really pretty big differences between solopreneurs and between entrepreneurs. And the word entrepreneur is often used as kind of a catch-all. And the two are very different. They're often confused, they're often overlooked. So solopreneur, the way I define it, is a business owner who works and runs their business alone. They're in a business. They're typically trading time for money. It's simply a business. It's a freelancer, consultant, coach, speaker, trainer, author, realtor, could be anything like that. Entrepreneur is someone who is building a company, not a business, and they're expanding beyond a singular ego person. I'm the only one that can do this work. I talked to a prospect today and she was hilarious. She said, well, I can't bring other people on my team. I'm the only one that can do what I do. And I said, I wish that was true. That's not. I just to share, when I quit my job as president of a national healthcare company, my boss really didn't want me to go. He was like in tears because he knew the amount of work he was going to pick up. And he said, no one can do what you do. I said, Tom, everybody is replaceable. Every single person. And I don't have a big enough ego in my business to believe that I couldn't be replaced. I know that, if I couldn't work for whatever reason, Barbara could step in, Dee could step in, Mia could step in. It's just easy peasy. Entrepreneur, you're building a company past yourself. And that means you have to be thinking about a team, outside consultants, entrepreneurs, company builders. We have an increase in risk because sometimes it's financial, right? So I'm not only taking care of my family and my income and my RSD foundation through Entrepreneur, I'm also making sure I take care of the people on my team. So being a solopreneur, you start out as a business. It's a stage of building to an entrepreneur. It's kind of a phase of growth that we go through, and we learn some lessons. Some are fun and some aren't, but it's on our journey to building a company. And then I want to go through some distinctions. But anything you want to say so far about what I've said, Barb?
No, I think you've really covered it. I like that distinction between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur. I like that you think of it, an entrepreneur as someone that thinks of the company beyond just them. And I think that that's really important because I don't know if everyone defines it that same way. And, I meet a lot of people that say they're entrepreneurs, but they're really more solopreneurs in the way that they think, the way that they act, and the way that you just defined it. So it's actually really thought-provoking. That really resonates with me.
5-something PM, I'm thought-provoking.
At this time of day, if you can get me to think, woo, you are like ahead of the game.
So I'm going to give you the 5 kind of mental hacks that I came up with. And the first one was really easy. I didn't have to think about this. I wrote them down, and this one it's going from control. The shift is to delegation. So control, delegation. How about that one, right? Now, I'm going to say it's just my experience, not being judgmental, just telling you what I've seen in about 6,000 business owners, nearly every solopreneur. It's a little bit of a control issue. I've got to do all the tasks. Nobody could do it like me. And, if I don't do it, who's going to do it, right? And the thought process is kind of like, well, what if I give it to someone and it gets done wrong? Or no one can do it the way I do it, right? My favorite is this one. It's going to take more time, Terry, for me to train someone to do the task, so I'll just do it myself.
Yep.
It's not the way you want to think, because bringing on team members is a crucial step to entrepreneurship. A solopreneur has limited capacity. Your business never goes beyond your personal time, your skills, your resources. To shift to an entrepreneurial mindset, you have to go past yourself. You have to see the bigger picture, and you have to truly understand the importance of delegation. It's really being a leader. Leaders delegate. They know that while someone may not do the task the same, it's not their job to control exactly how it's done. We simply make a commitment. We train our team, even if that means a lot of extra time, energy, and resources to train people, because the long-term impact of the business is huge. I want to share two quick examples, and I'll let you jump in on that one. When I started my art business, I was the only one in the whole business doing the art shows, right? I was doing these like art shows, and all of a sudden I said to Mark, I'm killing myself having fun. I mean, I'm doing this for fun, but I'm killing myself because like 25 people want art shows. That's 25 days of me doing art shows. I said, I wonder if I could duplicate myself. And he said, well, think about that. And I said, my first thought was, no one can do the art show the way I do it. Mm-hmm. Because I did it in a certain way with my own, way of doing it. And instead, I decided I wanted to build a company. And so I brought on I think the first time we had 18 art consultants. I spent a huge amount of time not only training them, but really mentoring them. They had access to me by phone day and night. And at the end of about 2 months, I said to Mark, I'm like killing myself giving all my energy to these people. And he said, yeah, and your business went from doing whatever it was doing the first couple of years, a couple 100,000, literally to like 2 or 3 million in just no time at all, because I duplicated myself, and all these other people, they weren't doing the shows the way I did them. In fact, some of them did them a hell of a lot better. And some of them actually didn't do them better. I had one gal, I still remember her name, Jane. She had the worst art shows I've ever seen. She sold more than even me and than anyone in the company, because her crowd liked her style. Her shows were like boring and dry, didn't matter. So I want you just to take that in as the first transformation, the same shift. Give time, energy, and resources. And the second example I wanted to give you is the day that I started this consulting business, that day I hired an assistant. I had one client. She was my client, by the way. She didn't know she was my only client that day. I'm like, I really want to bring you on my team. Now, everyone said, well, why do you need a teammate? You don't have anything. Are you kidding? Within 30 days, I had 30 client family members because I had her to help me. Okay, so I'll let you say anything you want there before I go to all my thinking tonight.
Well, I think that's huge. We really do feel like we can control it, or we feel like nobody's as good as we are and all of that. And what I would challenge people that still feel that way is to really train people well. What I did for a long time is I had 17 contractors on my team, and we worked on different projects, and I would get so frustrated with them because they didn't do things exactly the way I wanted. They had errors and things weren't working right and all of that. And I got so frustrated. And I was one of those folks that said like, I'll just do it myself. It's so much quicker. And I realized years later, and it took a long time, that I never trained them. Like, I trained them, but I did not give them enough resources, tools, and support to be successful. I felt like, okay, I put it all in an email. It's super clear. It's step 1, step 2, step 3. Do you have any questions? No. And that's enough. So I would encourage you really to think about, how can you be replaceable? Do you need to make videos for people so if one person leaves, you can show the video to someone else and you don't have to keep repeating? Or are there resources and tools? Have you invested enough time and money in training somebody, because that's the other thing. I didn't want to spend money on training people because I was so in desperation for every single cent I had. So I want you to really think about, if your first reaction is, no, I can't do that, there's no one that could do it. I want you to think about, how can they do it instead of they can't do it. That's
Love
all.
that. Totally dig that. Totally love that.
Dig
All
it.
right.
Dig it, man.
I dig it. Here's the second one. I'm so tired of this word, actually. It's a word that I try not to use, and it is the word hustle.
Ugh,
I
grind and hustle, baby.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to wake up in the morning going, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to grind and I'm going to hustle.
Well, grind may not be that bad, but that's a whole other video.
Another program. I prefer that you make a transformation from hustle to flow.
Ooh.
Like that?
Yeah, I'm going to get my crystals for that one. Hold on. Let me get my crystals for that one.
So solopreneurs that I know, they work more than anyone I know. More than anyone. They embody this, I gotta hustle, and they do more and more and more, and they think that's gonna have more income and more impact. No. A gal that I spoke with today, she's like, I don't know what to do. I took this coaching program and I'm watching webinars for 14 hours a week, and I'm creating content. I'm going through a membership site. I'm spending 40 hours a week. And I go, how much money are you making? This is what she said, 0. I said, well, stop it. Stop it. There's that hustle mindset. This is what I think that people who hustle, this is my guess of what they're thinking. I have to be constantly working in my business to make it run. Now, that translates to me in kind of an addiction to never-ending work, no sleep, and unfortunately, I've had some friends in this situation with declining health, everything from like adrenal burnout to all kinds of things. Let's shift to the company owner, the entrepreneur. Let me tell you what we understand. We understand the importance of not working. I'm going to say that again. We understand the importance of not working. It is more important to me to step away than to be working. I take hours in my calendar that are red. And red means that no one can schedule. You go to my calendar link, you can't get in. You're on my team, you can't get in. You're my assistant, you can't get in. You're a client, whatever it is, you cannot get in. Because I know that I have to step away from my company in order to make my company successful. So any thoughts about the give up the grind and step away and flow, baby?
Yes, and yes. One thing I wanted to throw out there is, a lot of times these beliefs, whatever you want to call them, limiting beliefs or blocks or blah, 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 a lot of them, whatever woo-woo word you want to say, a lot of them come from, years and years of conditioning, beliefs that you had, beliefs that your family might have had. And I guess the one that is really strong for me, was very strong for me for a long time, was you have to work harder to make more money. Like, that was literally ingrained in my being. So I would, my parents, they're the ones who always told me, work hard so you can make money, work hard, you'll make money. And I remember being a teenager when every quote unquote cool teenager could sleep in till like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, those weekends when you're like 16 and lie in bed forever. I remember my parents would get me up at 7 o'clock so I wouldn't waste the day, because I had to keep working. And I carried that belief with me for a very long time. And I was very unhappy in my business for a very long time. I couldn't relax. And my husband, who grew up in New Mexico where we live, it's a much different culture. I grew up in New York, and I had very like type A, must achieve, must wake up, must do stuff. Your brain is always moving. And he'd sit with me, and on the weekends, and he'd be like, chill out. Like, what are you doing? It's like, it's 5 a.m. I have to get up and start doing work. And it wasn't until my 40s where I finally was able to let some of that go. And I just want to encourage you that if you do have those beliefs at your core, that you have to work more to make more money, that you have to grind, that there's some kind of irresponsibility with not working hard or whatever that stuff is, it's time to let that SHIT go. I spell things 'cause I have kids. Let that stuff go. And what I encourage you to do is get a junky journal or a piece of paper, ugly piece of paper, candles, a bottle of wine, a bubble bath. I used to say oils, but I know I used to say incense, but now I say oils because it kept dating me. I was like, no one uses incense anymore. And I
do.
well, yeah, you're in a
yeah, it goes without saying.
But I would encourage you to get whatever you need and literally write out, like, what are all those beliefs that are holding you back from really having a life that is juicy and delicious. And I encourage you to write it all out, like use all your tools, whatever you need. And then I would encourage you to burn it, throw it away, or somehow ceremoniously get rid of it because it's not serving you anymore. That's all I want to
love that. I love that suggestion. I don't know about other people. I'm a huge fan of sage. When I like want to get rid of stuff, I burn it, I sage it. I just like, bye, see ya, gone. I really like that idea. Anytime I see somebody posting on Facebook, by the way, and they're talking about hustle and grind, I'm like, that is real. I feel sad, right? I mean, I really do, because it's not a fun way. I like to build companies that are easy, effortless, joyful, and fun. Otherwise, why do it, right?
And juicy
company. I like when you said juicy.
I know you did. It's your word. It's not my word. But that's the thing. You've trained me so well that I could just step in and say your words like juicy.
See, I want to make a point of that. I'm glad you said that. You want to have people that can step in. You want to have people that can step in. And if you don't have that, you don't have an asset. You just have trading time for money and getting paid. You do not have an asset, and that's critically, critically important. All right, let me go to the third one.
Wait, no one has posted in anything yet. You haven't even told them what to post. You didn't tell them to post grind. You didn't post.
I figured they would know by now. Are you kidding me?
All right. Well, if you want to come to our strategic planning meeting on Thursday, is it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, 1 to 4 Eastern time, you need to put SP down there so I can get you that link. I'm hoping by now you have the link. And there might be some of you that have just been sitting on it. So I highly encourage you to put SP down below so we can invite you to our strategic planning meeting, which is on Thursday. And so we can help you work out a plan so you don't have to hustle, you don't have to grind, you don't have to do whatever it is. You can have it easy, joyful, effortless, fun, and juicy 2021.
So I wasn't watching Facebook, and I made the assumption, you know what happens when you assume, that people just knew that you capture certain phrases and slogans and lesson 1, lesson 2, mind shift 1. So because now Barbara tipped me that you're not doing that.
I don't know if they are. I'm not looking on Facebook.
All right. I'm going to tell people what to do.
You're
present with me. I'm going to tell people what words to use. So this is number 3. And number 3 is from, this was my little creative, juicy thought before I got on, from imitation to creation. From imitation to creation. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. So this is what I was thinking. You as a solopreneur, you're creating based on, you know, what you've tried and what is held true. And you probably follow a whole bunch of thought leaders and you try and duplicate what they're doing. Oh, so-and-so just posted in a group that they did this. I'll do this. Somebody's doing this. I'll do this. And you kind of look to others to guide your path. And you go, oh, well, this is how so-and-so made it or did it. I'm going to copy their steps. And let me tell you my experience of that leads to changing strategies like very frequently. You're all over the place because now you see this thought leader. My favorite thing is I was in a Facebook group that you're also in a mutual group, and I saw this guy post on how he closed a $5,000 sale. First of all, you saw it, right? I'm not, no offense to anyone, I'm not impressed with a $5,000 sale, and that's really way too inexpensive for what he's delivering. And so he put his thing in there, and I saw like everyone's trying to copy his thing now. Okay, so what happens is this leads to changing strategies frequently. It's like who's ever in your line of sight, you're like, I'll just do what they're doing. Oh, they're doing that. I'll do that. I saw somebody recently changed their entire website to model somebody else's, that I personally know that that person's website isn't working, okay? Here's the distinction between an entrepreneur, a company owner. If you haven't gotten the word entrepreneur versus solopreneur, put it in there. And this is imitation to creation. So yes, we look to leaders in our industry for inspiration. Truly, at the end of the day, we focus on what's going to work for our unique journey. You're not a cookie cutter business. How do we optimize? How do we enhance what we've already accomplished in the past? As business owners, you're not doing that. As a company owner, as an entrepreneur, truly, like an entrepreneur, and Barbara and I just had a meeting a couple of hours ago with somebody who's a strategist now on our team. We're setting our sights on revolutionizing, on going towards what else is possible versus concentrating on, well, what has somebody else done in the past? I could care less about what somebody else has done. Every single day, I'm like, how do we disrupt the industry? How do we revolutionize? I don't want to be a cookie cutter. I don't want to imitate somebody else. And I've seen this when people get trained by, there's lots of people that train speakers. There's about 12 people that I personally know that train speakers. And by the way, they all do a really good job. All 12 of them, they'll do it differently and they do it well. But what I have seen in the past, and it always cracks me up because I've spoken on a lot of their platforms, is then their speakers that they train try to model them, right? So I remember maybe 3 years ago, I was speaking at a very, very large conference in LA. And a person in the green room walked in and I said, oh, I know exactly who trained you. And she said, how do you know? And I said, I know by a couple things. Number one, I know by how you're dressed. Number two, I know by your PowerPoints. And number three, I know by your opening. Then I'm standing there and she looked at me and she said, well, I know who trained you. And I'm like, yeah. So that's when I realized, this was 3 years ago when it really hit me. Oh, I'm a cookie cutter looking like everybody else that the speaker trainer trained. And that's when I said, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not wearing that outfit. I'm not having those PowerPoints and doing it my way. I look to this person for inspiration and he does his that way. I'm not going to do mine that way. My thinking as an owner of a company is, how does my company constantly, I feel like I'm in this revolutionize and disrupt and move towards something different versus being an imitation. So Barb, what do you want to say about imitation to creation?
Well, when you started talking, the best was when you said you went to that thing in Israel and someone was doing a presentation that was your presentation. And that's what it just like, it was like, really? Like, if you're going to imitate, if you're going to be, a solopreneur that is just imitating, and it's like, make sure the person you're imitating is not in the flippin' audience. Duh. So that just cracks me up. Can you just give a second on that?
Yeah. I'll tell, I'll tell the story. It's still very bizarre to me, but this person did work at my coach training school, and she'd been with my school for a while. She was really head of all the mentors. And so I asked her if she wanted to come to Israel and not only attend the 7 talks that I was doing, to interact with the audience, to handle back of room sales. And I got her on the stage to do a presentation at the largest audience. And she'd never done one that big, and she was so excited. So I spoke first, and the audience, this is my 2nd or 3rd trip where people had brought me over to Israel to speak, my 3rd. And so a lot of people in this audience had either heard me speak already, were already being trained in my coaching school. They all knew my signature story because I always tell it when I speak. So I finished speaking. I got off the stage. I went to the back of the room. I was so excited to have her on the stage. And 5 minutes into the talk, she shares I'm in the room. She shares my signature story, talking about, I have this neurological disease, reflex sympathetic dystrophy. I'm like, what? It's me. It's my story. And by the way, we've seen this over time, people who literally try to model word for word what other people say. So it's pretty much a wake-up call. Like, you need to be inventive in your company, and not to go follow the next shiny object and want to look like that person and be like I saw somebody who said, well, I have to set up a Facebook header this way, and this is the only way to do it. I'm like, that's so untrue. Do it your way. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4, the word to put in there is investments. And this is a biggie. Solopreneurs take less risks. They're like so afraid. They don't want to take a risk in pursuing their business. And it's kind of a mentality sprint, because they look at their situation from the now. Whereas a company owner, an entrepreneur, we don't look at now. We're looking at the future. That's why the strategic planning that you'll come to on Thursday, again, if you're not registered, if you are, don't worry about it. If you're not, put SP, so we'll get you the link. We're going to help you look at your situation in the future. Now, this is really, really important in terms of financial risks, because being a solopreneur, the thinking is usually this: well, I can't afford it. Okay, and it might resonate with some of you, because solopreneurs look at their business at a very micro level. Entrepreneurs never look at that. We look at a macro level. Barbara knows I just made some huge, huge investments, right? Huge, to move our company forward so we can do even better work for more people. And what we look at is we look at investments with a very different perspective. We have an understanding we're not running a sprint. We're running a marathon, and that the money that we invest today, whether it's in a program, consultant, coach, mentor, it might not have a result immediately. It may not read the cash register tomorrow. It yields a result at some point, and very often far greater than we've even imagined. And so we understand the impact of our decision right here, right now, today, can have an impact on our next month, on our next quarter, which we're doing in strategic planning, next month, next quarter, next year. I'll speak to this just for one more second, because this is on my mind. I became a coach long time ago, and I was really doing more coaching for a large organization that, you had to go through like 20 interviews to be a coach on their team. And once I got on their team, I'm like, oh, this isn't for me. Okay, because I'm not a cookie cutter. It's not for me. However, I asked myself, I had made a big investment, probably, I think it was around 20 grand, it was a pretty big investment. So I asked myself, instead of, why did I make this crappy investment? This sucks. Can I get my money back? I didn't do any of that. I said, what am I learning from this that I can use in the future? And I stopped being on their team and left to do my own thing. However, I had a lot of incredible assets that they gave me. I didn't use them the first year. I didn't use them the second year. All of a sudden, in one of the companies I created with my good friend Pete Winarski, I said, wait a minute, I have something. And we started using that. And it was a huge asset that put, I don't know, maybe $300,000-$400,000 a year in our pockets. Barbara and I, for the last couple of years, have used that same asset. In fact, I even shared another asset with you from that program today. So I don't regret that I did that. That is how an entrepreneur thinks. A solopreneur is like, where's my return on investment? I don't think I should make the investment. I'm losing money. Solopreneurs have this really interesting way of looking at just today. And they're not building a company, and they typically have no strategic plan. Okay, Barb, anything on that one? That's a big.
No, I just wanted to add about, they think about today, right? They think about like, am I going to be able to pay my bills this month? That's what they think about. They don't think about, okay, the investment I'm making now is going to help me pay my bills and then some for the next whatever months. And I think they're very, it's a very short-sighted kind of outlook. Like, I just want to get by. And one of the things that's so important is that you attract clients just like you. So if you're one of these people that is afraid to invest, is afraid to commit to your business, is afraid to make decisions, most likely the clients that you attract are going to be exactly like that. And so it's going to be very challenging for you to really grow a company, because you're going to be attracting people that are afraid of making decisions, afraid of investing. We're often a mirror for our clients, and you really need to take a good look in the mirror yourself and see who you are, where you want to go, and what do you need to get there. So that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. The mirror piece, I'll just speak to very quickly. If a brand new client family member, like literally, she came on, I don't know, 3 hours ago, and she made a decision for a large investment, I'd say large, instantaneously. Okay. I wasn't selling her. We were chatting and she kind of showed me what the biggest gap in her business was. And I said, well, you know, whether you hire me or not, I'm going to give you three actions. Are you ready? She said, yes. And she got out a notebook and I saw her take notes. I gave her 3 actions. And before you got finished with the last action, she said, do you take American Express? I said, yes. She said, just a minute. I asked her, in her case, it's patients, do your patients make a fast decision like that? She said, yeah. I said, well, I'm not surprised because you're the mirror. So I want you to think about yourself. When the teacher shows up and the student is clearly ready and the teacher's there, do you go, well, I'm not sure, I gotta think about it. I gotta consult the stars, put some oils on, sit on my mat and meditate. Oh, I better check with someone. I better go ask people who have no idea because they have never spoken with this person. Or my favorite is people ask unsuccessful persons, should I do this? Or they ask their life partner who has no idea about the person that you're considering. And then, you know, days go by and they're thinking. When you do that, you're going to wonder why people don't sign up immediately with you. Okay. So Barbara knows this. We invested at Entrepreneur in a new program that we're super stoked about, really excited about. And, you know, Barbara, like literally, I went all in financially, like the day this came to me, I'm like, damn, this is really good. Here's my credit card. And they're like, you want a 3-pay, 1-pay? I'm like, put it on 1-pay. If I'm doing it, I'm all in. We're doing it. And then it's got a lot of training, a huge amount. Barbara's like, I'm going to go through all this training. Like I've never seen
videos. 107.
Yeah, how many is it?
116.
116 videos in the program. Okay. But that's the difference. We're the mirror. We're not going to sit around and go, well, yeah, we got this program and yeah, we'll work it sometime. And I'm not going to sit around going, well, let me make a partial payment and maybe I'll pay you later. You go all in. You are the mirror. So if you're having problems closing people, I'm just asking. You're the mirror. Okay, let me give you number 5. Oh, this was such an easy one. So if you have not read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, it's recommended and required reading, period. I literally, and I have gone through the E-Myth course. I was an E-Myth coach. I know the E-Myth inside and out. I've read the book every single quarter, I think for 20 something years, once a quarter, every quarter. It is the Bible of my business. And it is the difference, number 5, between working in the business versus working on the business. Okay. Michael Gerber's book literally is to me the shift and the transformation. So a solopreneur, somebody who owns a business, has tasks. I got all these tasks that I have to do. And their whole list of tasks seem really urgent, really, really important. Everything needs to happen. When does it need to happen? It needs to happen right now. And they spend more time working in their business than they do working on their business, right? Because I said this earlier with the sprint, they're in the now. Their perspective is day to day. They don't have a strategic plan. They haven't thought that far. Rather than the broader view of 3, 5, or even 10 years out. When I started Entrepreneur, we are going on year 27 in February. I had a vision all the way out. And literally, it may sound bizarre, but literally all the way out to whatever the end of my time on this planet is. I'm like, I am in the thing I want to do for the rest of my life. How do I make this into a company that can go on long after I'm not on the planet? In my experience, company owners, entrepreneurs are more adept, I guess, at prioritization, really good at focus on the bigger tasks. What task is going to create a greater impact on the bottom line, right? What task is going to move the needle ahead? And we're willing to do uncomfortable things to pursue our goals. We work more on the business than in the business because we understand that strategy, get that word down, somebody get that word down. Strategy is more important for my focus as a business company owner, sorry, as a company owner than my daily tasks. As an entrepreneur, as a company owner, I have to have strategy. That's what I focus on, not what am I going to do each day? How am I going to do that? So I want to say this, be honest with yourself, begin looking at your own thought patterns. Like really look at your own beliefs. You know, we gave you 5 areas. Barbara will talk about the working in the business in a second. And I want you to identify in each area, where are you on the journey? Be honest. It's for yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you are looking to make the transition from solopreneur to entrepreneur, you know, I love when people chat with us. They're like, I just want to coach, and I just want to coach a handful of people. That's a lovely hobby. That's awesome. Go do it. You know, go work with 5, 10 people and make no money. And if those 5 or 10 people leave, go hunt for 5 or 10 more. I don't know why you would do that, but if you choose to do that, go for it. Enjoy yourself. But if you're really serious about going from solopreneur to entrepreneur, going from business to company, we, with these 5 things, have begun to show you how you can mentally shift and expand your thinking to go with an entrepreneurial model. And what we do is we transition you to that. But Barb, you want to talk about working in the business or anything else that we talked about?
I think you covered it. I really just want to say, like, you know, you have all these mindset hacks and different ways to move forward, but then the piece is you have to take action on them. So sitting and listening to these videos for 8 days now, I believe we're at, that's good. I'm glad you're here. We love you. We love your participation and your engagement. And now you need to take action. If you haven't already started implementing some of these things in your company, start doing that. If you haven't registered for our strategic planning session, get on it now. Put SP in the comments. I'll give you the link. Like, it's great to listen and to absorb a whole bunch of content, but you need to do something with it. And I just want to challenge you. We just want to challenge you to get, you know, it's, what is it? SHIT, or get off the pot is, is kind of what it's time, right? So yeah. Look at, what do you need to do to get a company up and running? Who do you need to work with? How do you need to do things? What do you need to invest in? Who do you need to delegate to? Like, all of this, it's time for you to stop listening and start doing. That's all I wanted to add.
And the last thing then is, if you've been doing something, let us know what you've been doing, right? We want to see, what have you been doing? Let us know. We may celebrate you. We may reward you. Let us know what you've been doing. So tomorrow is Wednesday. Barbara will be here. I will not be here tomorrow evening. Barbara will be here live at 5. Make sure you attend. And if you have any other business owners that are not part of Heartrepreneur that can get value, invite them to join the group. And I think that's it for now. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Bye for now.
Bye for now.